Jada made a personal announcement in her memoir, which came out in her interview with NBC this week. Watch.
There are so many surprising things in the book, but the thing that surprised me the most, that I actually had to reread it because I said, is this true?
Right.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
She can't even hide her glee. She's so happy about it. She's so happy about having being estranged from her husband. Now, first of all, someone needs to tell the interviewer that we don't need the clapping sound effects while she's asking questions. But as for Jada, she goes on to explain that she's living a completely separate life from Will and that they split up in 2016 because they were exhausted from trying. The words of a true hero. This revelation is especially humiliating for Will Smith because everyone immediately drew the connection to the slap heard around the world. And now we know that Will not only embarrassed himself in a desperate attempt to impress his wife, but that he did all this for a woman who'd left him 5 years earlier. Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth, he famously declared, but apparently that woman doesn't really consider herself to be his wife. Jada, could have kept their unique marital arrangement to herself, shielding Will from further embarrassment. But then again, she has a memoir to sell, so she decided to keep the separation a secret until she figured out a way to monetize it. Of course, this is just the latest in a long line of ritual public humiliations Jada has subjected her estranged husband to. There was another one very recently when she posted an Instagram video of her and Tupac in the 90s dancing to Will Smith's song, Parents Just Don't Understand. And it's well known that Jada still pines for her deceased lover, Tupac. So this was seen by many, accurately, I think, as a not so subtle dig at the man that she is still technically married to. And, that's what she does. She finds little ways to twist the knife. It's her specialty. There's, for example, this video from a few years ago where she decides to film herself not respecting Will or his boundaries. Watch.
You know, Steph Carell is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh, my goodness.
If you could film me.
Sam, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Don't. No, because she don't just...
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
That's pretty rough to watch. I think for obvious reasons. I will say, I can't imagine my own wife. I'm just trying to imagine my own wife, first of all, filming me without even asking me first. She wouldn't do that. But then if she started to film me and I said, please don't film me, and she did it anyway, and then she posted it on the internet, I would be furious. Fortunately, I'm not married to a woman who would ever do that, but this is Jada Pinkett Smith. Pretty rough, but of course nothing, since we're on the subject, we cannot avoid what is possibly one of the cringiest videos of all time. Nothing can possibly compare to the infamous Red Table Talk where Jada pulled Will in to have a conversation about the time when she cheated on him. Let's all relive that cringe together.
You, during that time, launched into an interaction with August. What do you feel like you were looking for?
I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good.
Right.
And it was really a joy to just help heal somebody.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with my codependency, which is another thing that I had to learn to break in this cycle. Just that idea of needing to fix and being drawn to people that need help, whether it's your health or whether it's your addictions. There's something about that childhood trauma that feels as though it can be fixed through fixing people.
Man, still tough to watch every time. I mean, imagine your wife cheats on you and you say to her, how could you do this? I'm broken. I'm devastated. And she says, well, I just wanted to feel good. Oh, okay. Well, if that was your reason, but I wasn't sure what your reason was, but if it was that, then never mind. And that was actually somehow the least cringy segment of that video, but the whole thing is brutal. The cuckolded Will Smith describes his wife's affair as launching into an interaction. Why did you launch into an interaction with that man? And for her part, his wife shows no remorse and in fact congratulates herself on her infidelity by claiming that she slept with another man in order to help heal him. Then to add another terrible insult to an already grievous injury, she declares that it makes her feel good to fix people. Yet her own husband is sitting there broken into 1,000 pieces. And all this frustration would build for several years until the moment when Will set his career on fire by taking it all out on Chris Rock at the Oscars. Jada, meanwhile, sits there and watches, making no attempt to stop him from walking up on stage to commit assault in front of a live audience, and also makes no attempt after the fact to defend him or come to his aid in any way. She is, in short, as I've already dubbed her, the worst wife in America, and Will Smith is without question the most pathetic husband in America, which is a sad reality, especially when you consider that before his wife got to work exposing and humiliating him, Will Smith was, it's easy to forget now, he was perhaps the most polished, clean-cut, marketable, seemingly together star in Hollywood. Now he's a laughingstock thanks to his wife.
I don't want to share all of this and not also share some breadcrumbs along the way of how I got.
Pinkett wants nothing to do with her so-called husband, and she's receiving all the hate for it.
So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been...
Some people may think that Jada Pinkett has been treating her husband, maybe now ex-husband, unfairly. The celebrity has been throwing Will Smith under the bus and has been receiving lots of backlash for what she's done. After several breakup rumors in the past years, her next book will finally expose her secrets and reveal her true colors.
So how long have you guys been together?
23 years.
That's amazing. How do you keep it hot?
How do I keep it hot? Maybe, I don't know.
Jada shocked the world this week when she revealed that she'd been separated from Will since 2016. Recently on the Today Show, Jada explained why her marriage to Will broke down, divulging, "By the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying. I think we were both still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be." Apart from that, she had moved out of their family home as a 50th birthday gift to herself.
My question is, I feel like you're a straight talker.
I am.
Except you're not sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us
Yeah.
how to be in partner.
But fans weren't buying her tricks, and were all on Will's side by this point. There's no walking back from what Jada Pinkett did to Will Smith during their marriage. She has nailed her marriage coffin shut when she publicly admitted she cheated on Will by having an affair with their son Jaden's friend, August Alsina. If that doesn't sound bad to you, then you should realize that she had a lot of dirty tricks up her sleeve. There's a bunch of them, but here are the worst things she's done. First, we have the talk show where everything started. Red Table Talk is a talk show starring Jada, Willow Smith, and Jada's mother, Adrian. This was where the celebrity held back nothing and spilled all the details about her family, her marriage, and even her affair with August. Jada has had several guests in her show, but her husband was the most memorable one. In 2020, Jada Pinkett brought herself to the Red Table and revealed that she'd had a relationship with R&B singer August Alsina while temporarily separated from her husband. That was 3 years ago, and it's still a hot topic. During the one-on-one, it was still clear that they had lots of love for each other, even when separated.
You and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically, we broke up.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different...
Then Jada had another chance to humiliate her husband, and we all witnessed it too. Next is something everyone has been looking forward to. She has a new book called Worthy, where she breaks silence on marriage, Oscar's slap, and her path to self-acceptance. She also delves into more personal things that maybe shouldn't have been said to the public. Among many other topics include her difficult childhood and their complicated.
I know you fucking lying to me. So y'all know Jada Pinkett just announced today that she's been separated from Will since 2016, right? The gag is she acting like it was a mutual decision and they just grew apart. Forgetting to freaking mention that she met August Alsina in 2015 and started messing with him. That's why y'all separated. Dude, tell the story. You still furthering embarrassing Will, trying to act like he on board for this. Or did Will find out about her and August messing around and he was just too weak to leave, so they just decided to create this type of arrangement? This is just making me not like Jada. She keeps profiting off of embarrassing a legend, all because she's still in love with another one, Tupac. This shit finna piss me off. Now, besides them being swingers, I have seen Will's husband be the best husband and father to Jada and the kids that he could possibly be. What is the reason for all of this? Jada Pinkett reminds me of like an Erykah Badu. Like she puts a spell on these men. I think Will should leave, get with a supermodel 20 years younger, and live his life somewhere in Costa Rica. What y'all think?
There's no finding another great love, and I think that's the point. It's like we are in a place now that we are in a deep healing space. And we are really concentrating on healing the relationship between us.
So just so I'm 100% clear, you were divorced, not on paper, but now we might be a point where we're back together.
We are working very hard at bringing our bringing our relationship together.
Back to a marriage again.
Back to a life partnership. Yes, because here's the thing about husband-wife marriage for me, my healing process. I came into that with very specific ideas, right? Very specific ideas that were blocks to me just seeing Will as who he is. He can't be this perfect, idealized husband.
Yes, of course.
I have to be able to accept him for the human that he is. He accepts me for the human that I am, and we want to love each other there.
Okay, so you might like live in the same house and have the same...
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's the only part. That's the only part in the special that I felt like got lost.
Well, guess what? It is found. We found it today. We found it today. So Will talked to the New York Times or gave a statement, and this is what he says. We'll put it up on the screen. This is from the Times itself. The memoir Will Smith said in an email kind of woke him up. She'd lived the life more on the edge than he had realized, and that she is more resilient, clever, and compassionate than he'd understood. And this is the quote. When you've been with someone for more than half your life, he wrote, a sort of an emotional blindness sets in, and all you can do, and you can all too easily lose your sensitivity to their hidden nuances and subtle beauties. It sounds like an emotional blindness. He didn't see you. Is that kind of what it was, that he...
I think, that's so universal in relationships. He didn't see me and I didn't see him, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to go our separate ways to see each other. You know, because when you're in a relationship and you're kind of just pulling at that person to be something for you, you refuse to see them. And so we had to go our separate ways to really look at ourselves and see the blocks that we had in order to find a way back.
Now, I'm not saying Will cheated on Jada with Margot, but I am saying they definitely had a chemistry. They seemed very chummy.
The problem because we know too much about each other.
We know way too much. No, that's not how I cannot reveal this question.
Really?
No, I cannot. No, absolutely not. I can tell you the answer, though, and the answer is Will Smith.
Chemistry.
Well, we've said it a couple of times. It was something neither of us were really expecting, but for some reason, when we walked into the room, we just really got along, and that kind of continued throughout the shoot, and it made every scene exciting and fun, and it's not really something you can manufacture, so it wasn't forced or planned, I suppose. It just existed already, which was handy.
Willow was like 5 or 6, and one of Will's co-stars was in his trailer.
According to my calculations, this was during Focus.
She came in there, she jumped in her father's lap, and she looked at the co-star and she said, my mother's going to be here very soon. And I remember Will telling me the story. I cracked up. I said, how is it that daughters specifically?
I always knew, though. I always
just
was like,
tune in.
yeah.
She always even till this day, she'll be like,
I always know. That's the funny
who
thing.
is that, Ma? I be like, you talk to your dad about that one, boo.
Is Jada Pinkett Smith plausibly the most unlikable woman in Hollywood? I think she is, and she's recently come out to reveal that she and Will Smith have secretly been separated for 7 years. Lots that I want to say about that. Where we started realizing that something wasn't quite right with this relationship. Something was very different about this relationship, which obviously then culminated into Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars. What's going on behind the scenes? Well, Jada Pinkett Smith is now doing a press tour to reveal that actually her and Will Smith have secretly been completely separated for the last 7 years. And now they are growing exhausted with maintaining the lie. She sat down with Hoda Kotb of the Today Show, and here's what she had to say. Take a listen.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
Let me remind you, Jada is not new to this media game, especially when she has to launch something. Let's break this down. This is an example of narrating your own story. No one knew about this until she says something. The only reason she says something is because now it's going to make you curious about getting the book to get full-blown details about why they've been separated. And since no one's ever heard her side about the whole slap, well, let me put that in the book and let me give you, once again, another snippet of how I felt about it so you could read more about it. And since I got your attention, let me throw you an extra bone about the Chris Rock situation that I'll probably go more in full detail in the book. Y'all getting the hint? And this is my opinion. I think the timing is perfect about how she's talking about Tupac, especially since he's back in the news with the whole his murderer getting arrested. So it just goes perfectly with this book launch. We gotta remember, Jada comes from that era of sitting down with people when there is something to be launched. Before it was with Oprah and Barbara Walters and that whole nine. Now she's going on podcasts. Now she's still going to Good Morning America, that whole nine. She knows what she's doing, and she knows the power of social media based off her family and what's been going on. This isn't new. This is an amazing book launch that we're seeing, but you let me know what you think, and are you getting the book?
Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And
Will.
what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, he's still, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally out of character.
It's not him whatsoever.
So up until this morning, the storybook romance and 25-year marriage of Will and Jada Pinkett Smith has survived challenges up until this morning. Like, you know, for instance, Jada's calling her an entanglement that with their son's friend. Okay, that was one. And Will defending his wife's honor by smacking Chris Rock at the Oscars. Yeah. Well, forget all that, okay? That was a fairy tale, and that ship has sailed. Because now, Jada has just dropped a major plot twist. Take a look.
From the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now.
Yes.
Y'all have been...
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
Oh. Why do I know so much about these people's marriage? I kind of feel, I mean, like, literally, I kind of feel like I know more about their marriage than I know about my own damn marriage. I don't need to know all of this. I just, you know what? I just want to watch reruns of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Bad Boys, Bad Boys, Bad Boys. What you gonna do? Just leave this out of my head. I don't need to know all
fascinated
of
by
this.
this particular couple. Apparently.
I am fascinated because
She is.
I don't think anybody knows what goes on in any marriage, but they have lived very
Even in your
lives.
own.
Even in your own. They've lived very public lives. And the slap heard around the world, I definitely thought was a reaction of Will's to sort of, you know, I guess protect her honor somehow. And that entanglement that she had with her son's friend.
Wasn't it a 4-year entanglement or 3
It was
years?
several years, and he was quite young.
It's a hell of an entanglement. So wait.
22.
He slapped Chris Rock on the Oscars. We all saw that,
Yeah,
right?
while they were separated.
And so, but couldn't it be that he was just defending his ex-wife?
Well, it also came out that in
I don't know.
2016, Chris Rock allegedly asked Jada Pinkett Smith out because he thought they were on the outs. So that's also might be a plot twist here.
during
Did he
this
really?
divorce.
Yes,
during this divorce.
Chris.
So Will doesn't deserve the slap.
But I don't get her explanation, though.
I don't either. And when you talk about, like, usually I say whatever works for couples, but I don't know if this is working. This is not working.
Well, right.
That wasn't even meant to be a joke. But when you hear each of them talk, there sounds like there's so much pain and trauma that the kids,
They're actors.
well, the kids did that when they
they're
become their
actors.
own person. What is it called when you not conservators? Thank you, that one. They did that when they were like 15, 16. The kids are living through this. I don't pretend that marriage is perfect, but you are the example to your children of what love and loving relationships look like. They're having other relationships. They're living apart.
Listen, I
What's
think
the point?
I think she's having a relationship with her bank account because every time she needs to like increase the ratings of the Red Table, every time she needs to sell books, she drops these bombshells. I find it unseemly.
I find it
And
smart.
I will tell you
I find
this.
it smart.
Be careful of anybody who pretends to have a perfect marriage.
But it's a memoir, though, and when she writes in her memoir that they've been separated for all of that time. I mean, I think that's a very brave thing to do, a very courageous thing to do. I think it has less to do with money. She has plenty.
I also
think,
I
Alyssa?
was just going to say, I think once you've had Tupac, you never go back. That's what this ultimately comes down to for me.
You said something on the red tape. I didn't see this. But
Yeah.
She like demeaned him. Like she
and if they were apart,
crying.
what was the point? And
He
then
was crying.
if he defends her honor by doing that, and then she says in this interview, "Oh, I thought it was a sketch," and hangs him out to dry. Like who's
he
who's
wrote a
winning
book,
here?
And her face did not look like she thought it was a comedy sketch. You know, if she thought it was a comedy sketch, she was a role in it. She was playing into it.
All right, we gotta go.
Yeah, look at that. That look like a comedy sketch face to you?
Look at your fine little skinny ass sitting up there. I roll blunts fatter than you, but you've been passed around a little bit more. But right now, everybody in Hollywood is talking about it, and they all saying the same thing. I think that bitch gave me herpes.
Yeah, nigga, I'm still fucking with you. I do believe, though, this revelation is a poor attempt to justify the entanglement.
Really?
I believe, I have not heard her publicly, and I could be wrong, but check from what I've heard from the Red Table Talk when I went back and watched the 2020, I've not heard her come out and apologize. And when somebody who's going through infidelity, that's the one thing that is valuable, is to know that they're loved and that the person is sorry. And so, to me,
But they
this
were
kind of
separated.
she's trying to justify it in this revelation.
But this is what's
I don't-
fascinating is they were already living separate lives for 3 or 4 years. The entanglement happened in 2020. They've been separated since 2016.
But they're still married. She cheated on him. He's hurt.
Yeah, but they were separated.
I don't agree with that because what if
this was on the other side, we would call him a cheater. She cheated on him.
What if they have an agreement?
It doesn't matter if
that
they
you,
separated.
No, wait, let me say it. What if Will and Jada had an agreement? We on a break, you do what you feel, right? And he did what he feel.
That's not what she said. We're making that up. That's not
Well, we don't know what Will said. See, you missing out on what Will
in the 2020 interview, when you go back and watch that red tape, they did not talk. I'm bringing receipts too. He did not disclose. They did not disclose that he agreed to it, and they talked about that. He did not agree to this.
Did he
and
know?
he made her. He asked her.
Was in the house. He was
I don't
kicking
know.
it with
I don't know
friends.
because we're still
We don't
justifying.
know. Here's the thing. We're
We're
never
still
going to know what
justifying
went on behind closed doors. We don't know.
So cheating is cool. Entanglements are cool.
There's clearly hurt on both sides. You know, I think you never know what goes on.
Hold on. Bring the same energy when we talk about somebody else and it's a man cheating. We got to bring the same energy. You don't know.
I'll keep it real with you.
I don't believe in infidelity, but also don't have nobody around me, and you can't have nobody around you, and y'all can't be blurring the line. Right. That's what it is. But don't say she cheated. Don't say she cheated if you don't know what kind of relationship they have.
There's nothing that justifies, I don't care how tough the relationship is, there's nothing that justifies cheating in a marriage. Period. Period. Nothing.
Well, let me before everybody write in.
Before they write in.
I'm not saying that I agree with cheating. I'm saying these are different type of people living a different type of life that the average person don't live. We just finding out about it because the book just came out.
And they talked about it on Red Table Talk.
I think you bring
But
up
I didn't know they were separated for all those years. That didn't come out at the Red Table.
No,
Matter of fact, move the flowers and let us have the top table. Move the flowers and we gonna take it to the top table.
Because I think
all the things that they did.
There's still love there. I think
there is a lot of love.
You think about that Oscar night.
I agree.
That's a lot of. They have kids. They have a family together.
It's love,
you think
it's
about that
hurt,
Oscar
it's
night
all
when
of
he
it.
yells out, "Keep my wife's name out your," you know what?
Yeah.
Right? Like. That's still love, but he's still dealing with the pain and the hurt of that.
He's very protective of her. That's clear.
There's no doubt about it. There's a tremendous amount of love between these two people because I can tell you, if my wife and I separated, my wife would be gone. Like my wife. You would
not happening.
My wife wouldn't say, "Oh, Jerry and I were separated for 6 years."
We were on a break.
My wife would be on the apps, on those streets immediately, with a sign saying, "I am single."
Right.
So there's obviously love and respect in this relationship. So that's I'm looking at the bright side of things.
Well,
here.
I agree with your point, Akbar. I just don't always put it on the woman. Sometimes, if you don't, wait a minute. Now, it's always a man that want to make it about us. But then when you can't control yourself, you don't never make it about you.
Hold on.
You don't make it about
men
you
have
as a
to be
man.
accountable. Men have to be accountable when they cheat. And when men cheat, we have to say we're sorry. But when a woman cheats in this situation, we have not heard a public apology. And I'm only asking and saying a public apology because all of this has been made public. It's not like they said it out.
Maybe it's in the book.
Wait,
you got to buy the book.
Okay.
Maybe it's in the book.
I'm going to read that book.
It's in the book.
I'm going to read that book.
Let me just say, this is so crazy. By the way, this is only our third episode of the season, everyone.
Okay.
Let me just say this. I mean, not that we're taking sides here, but I am pretty much, it's not just because I sit next to her, I am Team Cheryl here for a second. Jada doesn't owe anyone an apology.
No. She owes Will Smith an apology.
Yes, but she owes Will Smith an apology. Akbar, I don't believe that's our business.
It's not. It's their business, and that's why she owes Will Smith an apology.
So we don't know if that happened.
Wait a minute, I know it. Wait a minute. And if you watching this show, you know who's not going to be invited to the Smith house for the cookout.
Will will call me. Will will call me. Will will call me.
Keep Jada's name out your mouth.